Hey friends, so welcome back, or welcome for the first time, whichever it is. So what we're working on today is we are going to work on the door to the Star Traveler. So this is the original door. This is the door to the shower of the Star Traveler. And this is the one that came with my camper. And as you can see, it's in a bit of a state. It has broken tabs on both of the hinges. And let me make sure that's in focus. So we have broken tabs on both of the hinges. And also something I didn't realize when I was first looking at this is there's also a piece broken back here. Now I didn't realize that when I was first looking at it. So I've got several searches just kind of ongoing on eBay. And eventually I saw a listing for a replacement door that somebody was selling. And so on came this one. And lo and behold, we have our hinges and they are in perfect shape. So there's a bar that these clip onto. And so you need this kind of over, under to make it work. But there's also this bar in place. And when you look at the literature and the ads, you can see that this is meant to be a towel bar. Now, this is a really weird design because there's a sticker that fits on this side that's meant to look kind of like a mirror. And I don't know why they decided to do this, but there's this void here behind it. And on every sticker I've ever seen, there's always a wrinkle. Can you see that? Where that void was. Here's the one off of my original door. So here's the sticker that was off of the original one. And look at how pronounced that lump is on this. Also, look at how dirty it is. Like it's just got a bunch of grime and stuff on the reverse side because that's an open sticker and so it could take anything on. So now what I'm left with is I have a door. Now you can see that while this is still in place, it is broken in one area. What's happened over time is that this has warped. Can you see how badly warped that is? And so with it being warped like that, I think that's what forced this to pop because this is like, you know, very, very thin plastic and I'm surprised it's held on at all. It is a fairly clean break though. So we are going to try and repair that. I think I'm first though going to try and steam this or iron this warp out of it. So I did this before on the coffee table project. If you haven't seen that, I'll try to put a link to it down in the description box. But I repaired a coffee table that I use in my Barbie dream house. And you know, it's got this soft plastic that kind of warps. This is a brittle plastic, so I don't want to break this. I don't want this to snap. So I do have to be a little bit more ginger with this. But also, I really want this to... I really don't want this to just break again. I'd like to be able to hang a towel on it for display. I think that'd be kind of cute. So we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to try and warm this up and get this to flatten out. So we'll leave it for a couple of days after warming it up. And then we'll come back and we will think about repairing this. I don't know what kind of plastic this is. So I think I just have to go with super glue to fix this. So that's what I'm planning on doing right now, is using super glue. There is a little bit of glue left on the front of it, so I've got my handy Goo Gone. I'm going to clean that up with a little bit of Goo Gone to clean up what's left of the glue residue. I'm also thinking I might use it to clean up the back of the sticker. I'm trying to think of what to do so I don't have this happen again. But I want to get really good adhesion, so I may try to clean this. And if you could look, right, these stickers are very different. At first I thought this one had maybe faded, but I don't think so, because this is the plastic of this one, and this is the plastic of this one. And look at how much paler this one is than this one. Like if either of them got sun fading, it's this one. So, I mean, that just shows to go you that there's a certain amount of tolerance with these things, right? These are mass-produced toys, sure, but they're probably made in different factories. And so there might be just a little bit, or at least in different die batches. So there's a little bit of difference between the die molds. This is kind of interesting to me. I wonder, I always, like when I was looking at this, I thought that was the handle, but that's on the hinge side. That doesn't make any sense. This is the little latching system that it has. So it just has these little nubs. One's on one side, one's on the other. And that snaps into place on the door. But I'm not sure how you're supposed to get it open again, right? Because if that's the handle, like that's on the wrong side. Maybe it's a doorstop to keep it from opening too far. Okay, so we have our projects done. I'm going to experiment a little bit on these. They're both damaged a little bit. I don't think one is more damaged than the other, honestly. So it really comes down to color. And I think this one, this little area, that's where it had come up the most. That's got the most damage to it. And on this, where this is, that's more pronounced than it is over here. So I'm going to try to clean them up, and I'm going to iron these out to see if I can get them flatter and try to repair them that way. We'll see. I think these little tears around the edge will kind of resolve themselves once it's glued down because they fit pretty cleanly. We could always come back with like some, you know, watercolor pencils or something and fill those colors in if we need to. But this is going to match the Star Traveler better than this one is. So I think I'm going to go with this sticker. I cleaned it up a little bit using a dry cleaning pad. So I'm going to try this Goo Gone and see if I can clean them up just a little bit more. So we'll do that in this video and we'll see where we're at. And this will, of course, need to sit for a couple of days while it gets cleaned, or while it cools off from being warm. All right, so I'm just going to put a little bit in the cap. And I did drop a little bit, so we're just going to kind of see what happens. This worst case scenario, we do have this other one we can use. But I'm just using it to kind of clean up the surface of the sticker a little bit. And you can see it's getting up some grime. Maybe you can see it. Whew, that's really getting up some goo and some gunk. Alright, so you get the idea. I'm going to do this cleaning front and back to both of these. And I'm just going to put out a podcast and I'm just going to do my thing. I'll be back. Okay, so first update. This is where we're at on the stickers. So I cleaned them both off using the Goo Gone and they came pretty clean. There is a lot of color loss on this one, and you can still see those creases. So after cleaning it with the Goo Gone, both front and back, then I ironed it out to get it as flat as I could, and dry ironed it. I didn't use any steam or anything because I didn't want to make the paper wet. And I also used a blotting paper on top to absorb any of the oil left over because this is an oily medium. So I put a piece of blotting paper on top to absorb any of the oil. and ironed it down, and they came out pretty good. This one did lose this little piece. It was barely holding on, so I'm not surprised that it tore off. But it's now nice and flat. If I decide I want to go with this lighter colored one, I can. Overall, it's in slightly better shape. You can see it's got a better color to it as far as like it's not missing as much color, except in this little piece. This little piece is pretty badly damaged, where this is at least all in one piece. And again, I think these colors match my Star Traveler better because it comes from that Star Traveler. We do have some color loss in here and up in here that I may try to fix with some watercolor markers or maybe some watercolor pencils. I haven't quite decided yet. So I might do a little experimentation and see how that goes. Will I do that before I glue it down or after I glue it down? That's the question, isn't it? So I got to have a think on that for a little while. And I've got the other door has been warmed up with my heat gun, and it is now laying flat to kind of cool off. You see this one's actually pretty flat. The other one's such a shame that it's so bowed. It's a shame that this one the bar broke off on. But again, it's pretty damaged overall, so it really needed to be replaced. We're going to hold on to this, though. It's still a useful part. If I have a Star Traveler that doesn't have a door at all in the future, at least I have this one, right? And I could always maybe manufacture some missing clips here now that I have one that's whole and I know what they look like. And I could probably even manufacture that bar if I needed to. So we'll set this aside. It's still a useful part, and we'll see how that goes. We're going to let the other door cool down a little bit more, and then we'll see how flat it has come out. And then, like I said, I'm going to have a think about this, if I'm going to touch up this color. A little bit of color came off here and on the blotting paper from ironing and blotting out all that oil. That's to be expected. A little extra grime came out too. These are pretty dirty on the back side, so I feel good about them being cleaned. Oh, one more thing I got to think about too is on the back side of this one. Remember, it had just all this caked up gunk right here because it's open behind this bar. And I've been thinking, do I want to adhere this to a really thin piece of polystyrene and then glue that down to this surface? That way on the back side where this is open, instead of it being a sticker, let's see, goes this way, right? So it would be like this. And then on the back side, that's left open. So then you've got like this open sticky place that can collect any kind of dust or anything like that. I have cats, right? So cat hair and all that getting stuck on there does not appeal to me. And how do you clean that? You just don't. If you wipe it, everything's going to get shoved down into more sticky areas, and it's just kind of there. So what if I glued this down to a piece of polystyrene and then glued this down to this surface? I'm not married to that idea yet, but I may try it out. It'll lift this off of here just slightly, but I have some really thin polystyrene, like less than 1 millimeter thick. And I may experiment with that and see how I feel about it, because then instead of it being an open sticker on the back here, it would be open plastic, and that could be wiped out if it got, and it'd be less likely to accumulate dust than sticky paper or even just raw paper would be. So anyway, those are the thoughts I'm having. We will take another look at this, let that door kind of cool off, and I'm going to have a think about this, and I'll come back. All right, next update. So I've got this really thin styrene. As you can see, it's less than 1 millimeter thick. It's so thin that I can cut it with just regular scissors and not have to worry about, them getting ruined or anything. It cuts really, really super easily. It's just about the thickness of a cardstock paper. So I had some of this in my scrap bin, so I pulled some out and I cut the shape of the sticker exactly. And this is what I'm thinking, is that I'm going to glue this down And then this can adhere onto here. So that way, once this is glued down, then on the back, we have, again, a plastic bit that isn't going to be as likely to collect dust and all that sort of thing, I hope. Now I will go through and I'll outline that with pencil or something so that I'm not applying glue to that area, because I want to keep this clean. So I'll probably outline it with pencil and then kind of avoid that area maybe 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So that way there's no glue in this area to collect all the kinds of dust and stuff. Just so I can kind of avoid the mess that was last time. And then again, this being glued down is going to keep it from getting that bump again in that area, from it being pushed against and just not having any support under it. Now it'll have a little bit of support, and so it'll stay flat. So that's where I'm at now. So I'm going to glue this down. I think I'm just going to use some glue stick to glue it down. Now, that begs the question, what am I going to use to glue the styrene down to this surface? And that I am unsure of. I'm going to give that a think. Again, I don't know what kind of plastic this is, so I don't know if I can use model weld to, plastic weld to weld these plastics together or what. So I might do a little bit of experimentation. What I'm thinking I might do is brush a little bit of Plasti-Weld on this little nub in here and see if the plastic reacts, if it melts. If it melts, then I know it will react to this plastic and I can weld them together. If it doesn't, I might just use like Fabri-Tac or something else. I may use Fabri-Tac anyway, because if I weld this down, then this is stuck here forever and ever and ever, because it's going to literally melt the plastic together. But if I use Fabri-Tac, then it's reversible. And I like the idea of things being reversible. So again, I'm going to have a think about that, and I will update you when I decide what I'm going to do. Okay, so where we are in this project is I got the sticker off of the old door. I did flatten out the new door a little bit, but it's still got a slight bow to it. I'm not going to push it too much though, because this is very brittle plastic and I don't want to break it. I did glue down the towel bar so it's nice and firm. I actually didn't glue it. I used a little plastic weld too, and what that does is that melts the plastic just a little bit, and so then when you put it together, it kind of welds together. I didn't get it perfectly on there because, again, it is kind of bowed just slightly, but I put it where it wants to naturally lay, so that way hopefully it won't snap again. All right, so this is all cleaned up. It's as straight as it's going to be. We got the towel bar cleaned up. And then I took our sticker, and remember I was talking about what I was going to do with the sticker, and I ended up gluing it down to a piece of really thin styrene, like super paper thin styrene. It's like less than 1 millimeter, less than 1/2 millimeter, I should say. I glued it down to that just to give it something firm that it could lay against. And then I went over it with my Arteza watercolor markers. So these are brush markers that have like a watercolor, water soluble medium in them. I bought them ages and ages ago, and I've just never really used them for a whole lot. But there's like 11 billion colors in there, right? And I thought, oh, I bet I have exactly these colors, because this sticker was really worn and in a really bad shape. So I went through and I touched it up. Did I do that on camera? No, I did not. But I will do, I wanted to see if it would be successful, if it would work, if I would like it. And it was successful. It did work, and I do like it. So I will do this technique again when we repair some of the stickers on the camper itself. So keep an eye out for that video. So the next thing we want to do for this is we want to glue this down to our door. And again, because this just as a reminder, because this is hollow underneath the bar, I put it on that styrene so it would have a nice firm support. So when gluing this down, I do want to be mindful of that hole, and I want to make sure I'm covering up that hole. And then I want to make sure it's lined up. I want to make sure that we're equidistant here, lined up, and then that this is more or less straight against this line, right? These lines are all parallel to each other. I've got a couple of options. I could use the plastic weld again and weld this down to the door, but I don't know that I want this to be a permanent fix. I don't like the idea of permanently changing what this is. So I think I'm just going to use my old trusty, tried and true glue stick. So this is Scotch Create glue stick. You guys have seen me use this a lot. I think that's what I'm going to do. So let's grab a piece of scratch paper. Just had a piece here a little while ago. There it is. And I'm just going to cover this whole thing liberally with glue. I'm about due for another one of these. I'd had two, but I gave one of them away to a student who was in need. Now I'm in need. All right, put down a hearty amount of glue here. And again, I like using this because then later it will be reversible if somebody wants to change it. If I do that Plasti-Weld, that is not reversible. That is just forever and ever and ever. Amen. Okay. Let's give it a little wipe. Make sure there's no dust on it or anything. So again, I'm going to line up this edge here. And then I want to make sure that we're coming down. And this will clean up if I get any on the periphery. But this also gives me a little working time. All right. So that looks pretty good. Now I can't really set this down on the table to burnish it. So I just kind of have to just burnish it in the air. That was another bonus of gluing the sticker down to a support. Was it? Now it's not quite so delicate. All right. That's pretty good. Yeah. I think I'm happy with that. What do you think? I think that looks pretty darn good. And then we've got a towel bar on the back. Make sure I'm not coming up on any of the edges. I can always go in there with a stiletto or something and put extra glue in if it needs it. But I think we're good. I think I got it all the way to the edges. All right. So we now have a completely repaired and revamped shower door to put in our camper. So let's go to the camper and let's make it happen. So the lighting is bad and the angle is bad and everything's just bad, but there is our door in place. I had a few nerve-wracking seconds of me pushing this hinge in place, but it's fine now. So let me pop it open. And it does interfere a little bit here with this corner. I'll have to see if there's something I can do about that, because I feel like it should swing open more than that. Or maybe that's why those doors are always broken. Who knows? But next thing we're going to do, well, we're going to give this another clean because it's been a while since I've cleaned it. So we'll clean it all out. But I've got these wonky sticker dealies going on. Like, for example, do you see what it says there? It says shower label. So whatever kid put this on the wall, bless them, they did not remove that label. I think it's cute, but also I kind of want it to not be janky. So I think we're going to take that off and we will fix that up and we'll replace it. Also, notice that's the shower head, but there's no nozzle to turn the shower on. Yeah, that's over here for some reason on the wall. So we will get the Goo Gone and we will take that off and we will move it as well. But that's a video for another day. Right now, we're going to leave this as is. We got our job accomplished. We got our new door. Again, it does interfere with this a little bit. But we've got our new door. It snaps into place. You can see these don't line up really great, so you got to kind of maneuver them to shut it. But once it's shut, it kind of holds the walls nicely. There we go. That was really tough to do with my left hand. All right, but once it's shut, it like holds those walls nicely out and everything's in good shape. The only things we're missing now is we are missing the faucet from that sink and we are missing the towel bar from over here. I have no idea if I'm shooting it or not, but over in the closet here there should be, or not a towel bar, but there should be a clothing bar. Should be a clothing bar right there. So hopefully I got that shot. But those are the last two things we're missing, so we are buzzing right along. Again, as I mentioned before, some of these stickers are in a little bit of rough shape, so that will be, I think, our next venture, is to clean up the stickers and repair them and touch them up. You can see some of them are missing color, some of them are just really wonky and all over the place. I mean, whoever put these stickers on did a pretty good job, but they're just a little, you know, a little shaky. So we'll just fix them up and get them on there a little bit more solidly, and we'll touch up the color. But that's it for now. I will see you in the next video. Bye. I also want to take this time to shout out to my Da Vinci members on Patreon. So these are the people at the highest tier. I cannot do this channel without them. So thank you very much to Tara Meldrum and Michael Kegley. You guys have my heart and my love forever. If you want to join them or at any patron level, you can start at only $3. Follow the links down below. I get it if you can't afford it, so don't sweat it if you can't. Oops, that was my finger. Yeah, this is why I don't have a photography degree. But I understand if you can't afford it, you can start at any level that you want, or just follow me here on Patreon or on YouTube. Give me a like, give me a share, give me, you know, a thumbs up, give me a comment down below. All of that helps. So I really appreciate you guys. I love you very much, and I'll see you in the next one where we abuse my art degree even further. Okay, bye.